It's going to do a live poetry reading. Let me get the poetry up. This is from my book of poems, Sentiments on the Precipice. People running here and there, either to pleasure or power, bolting lions away from love. A multitude hungry on the precipice. The rain comes, the heat subsides, a new fever rises as the sun. How many the smiles, scattered bliss, do we flee towards solitude? The suspicion emerges. Debate of motives. Resurrect the interior, lake of smokes, dark, misty, murky. You can't see, but slowly sink. Rest for the weary, cast your burden, the island in the stream beside the forest. Ancient man summons, halo of spirit, joy echoing, final rest. The rock, the pillar, time and twisting torment pulling off strips of flesh. Stars scatter, a burst of laughter, their playground, the black night sky. The shade of dreaming, empty room as cars pass. As cars pass by, a bed, clutch pillow 1,000 entryways, yearly folds of the accordion, slideshow decades collapse. Did the swarm ever matter? Ingratiate, ingratiate, ingratiate. The web of influence. You could be out in left field, isolated, bitter martini on a chaise lounge, sipping like a pariah. When the ball comes, you raise the mitt. You catch it, no one sees. Bleachers roar disapproval. Some new tweet, not you. Competition. The game was not yours. Indifferent to their home run. Quid dignum est. Columns of the temple. Cramped, hunched, arms wrapped around knees. Light from between the shutters projected on your back. Rocking, squirming. You surrender to the inscrutable. Crucify your hate, but guard your doors. Rain falls on the evil and the just. Clouds stream over the moose ridge. Pines acquiesce. You wanted to flee the hordes, the upheaval of all you knew. They stayed. Your tribe demanded you as well. Your tribe demanded you do this as well. Guns rose in salute to the destitute, that half-century of discarded men. Night fell and the job doesn't come through. Wrong demographic. A woman walks out of the boardroom with an award held high proudly. The bar seemed almost empty that evening. A few couples, small groups of young men, and the resigned middle-aged unemployed. A girl leaves her date, glides towards the tight jeans on the father figure. Her glance appreciative. She orders a beer and says hello. I don't stand here lone at this wise age to be flirted with, teased, and disrespected, he announces. She spirals into a kaleidoscope. The man grows dizzy, no response. She is absorbed into a vortex of colors and sound. The band plays on. The moon now is the same as it was then. The heart beats with different intentions, and may a cloud obscure the stony white face, life would rotate back into the same sequence before the next stage. The frolicking group of young travelers bound across the green English hills as the sun floated into the morning, a sure refuge for the boy in the modern West, thousands of miles away, at the end of the frontier, nothing more there. The moldering crowd keen to uphold the dying narrative. Exile from the void has his first coffee. Tattooed barista with eyebrow-piercing sneers. Walk through the shopping mall, faltering, pounding chest, lump in throat. If it were LA, disgust would sour the stomach, yet Prague offered manifest delights, strolling, wearing his foreign shroud. He hit the cold of the Slavic metropolis. It was winter, the face numbed, earlobes burned, perhaps Helios appearing, but exhaustion set in. They'd check you out, those pretty Eastern European women, low English skills, IQ descent, lewd invader, later rebuffed. In her apartment alone, nobody calls, no new text. Gray light seeps through the window, Baroque rooftops to the horizon. The fog smoothed up the hills, soothing the inhabitants. A heat wave had caused strokes, seniors worried, wealthy suburb. Young women paraded nude in their bedrooms, sweaty twilight, posting bikini shots of that day on their Instagram. Attention gathered for a lifetime of choices, power motive, sincerity cast aside along with their integrity, prerogative to gather your doom in the dragging years. Sunset cliffs over gold, dark Pacific, first puff of the cigarette feels good. Joggers try to get back in shape after months of indulgence. The radio, the same noise, the same challenge, the same protest, battle of the offended, real estate riches by our course. Resolution, then resignation, as homes surrounded the precipice, and they started at $3 million. But they fall away as dropsy settles in. On the other side of the metropolis, beyond the gut-burning wall, there is an exclusive network of knowledge, opportunity. So take a deep breath, perception and discernment to form the bridge. Freeway collide, state of uneasiness. The SkyTram is the only route. Hollywood beckons, and it's quick, no cars. They said, be nice, but it didn't work, and you traveled by train from Barcelona to Malaga to forget about it. Everyone advised against it, but you felt and felt in your soul. Europe or America, visceral, treading air, detached, friendless, recklessly stride through the California suburb, all the dogs biting and weeping. I love you, you're gone. Rooftops of the wealthy blanket the canyons toward the sea. Out of reach, shake your hand, daughters that are dense, obtuse, the celebrated offspring, a reward. Golden City bleeding smog, what everyone wanted, transformed to ingrown desire as the dry bread cracked under Middle Eastern teeth. Far above the European castle, the meadows of purity, right meaning conduct, intention, wedged into ravines and toppling down the hills. Baked by the hills, baked by the sun, the hills baked by the sun, oceano streams circling the earth as you watch the twinkling rotations of patterns in the sky. You're familiar with the rapport, universe answering. Flung from the abyss back to life to grind against male eyes, some loving, others in heat, as the third world encroaches. The effeminate flounder and prostrate themselves while the true men sustain their efforts within tempests of supplications. Okay, I got to go to the next song here because Led Zeppelin ain't mine. Don't want to get a copyright issue there. So let me get the poem back up. Okay. Flung from the abyss. Meanwhile, the train. Okay, here we go. Men sustain their efforts within the tempests of supplications as the lachrymose demoiselle dives into her pool for a long swim. Meanwhile, the train glides through the region of Valencia and Almeria, destined for the humor of British revelers, refugees of wetness. The money to invade, curry regurgitated in their homeland. Tens of years, and the rickety, long wagons passing every village, it seemed, did the good-natured Española still exist. On the road, nocturnal ocean town, classical music low volume, radio whisper and the months of stagnant thoughts, spikes of insight. Turn on this street, go up the hill, past the mansions, peacocks cry. Light that cigarette, no streetlights, as you wind over the dips and curves, catch a glimpse of the big city, which you'd thought you would forget. Around the bend 1,000 feet below, miles away, but they reappeared. You had returned. It didn't become what you had expected. American dream expired, and those who held on to those last days. The only solitary place down in those canyons, beneath the oak bush, scrub, chaparral brush, cactus, dry creek bed wedged away from the neighborhood, light a campfire with the rattlesnakes and lizards, and pursue that hidden imagination presaged as eventuality, and the businessman sleeps after several scotch and sodas in his bed, in the house, on the hill above. Okay, so that's the end of the first chapter of Notes on a Precipice, my book of poetry in Kindle on Amazon. So if you're interested in that, buy it. It's only, I think it's only $3.99. Contact me for info if you want to buy this Kindle book of poetry.